Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Health Chats podcast. This is episode 30. I'm stoked. I started this project 30-ish weeks ago. One episode per week is what I committed to, and I have delivered. I think there was maybe 1 week where I couldn't get my editing done in time and it came out later. And just like any journey, there's usually bumps along the way. But I'm actually shocked that it's been this long because it feels like I just started. And I think with anything new that you do, there's usually that feeling of, what am I doing? I have no idea what the heck is going on. But then you kind of find your footing and it's one foot in front of the other, just like we're learning how to walk. And eventually we learn how to run. And I'm not saying that I'm there. Like I said, feels like I just started this and I still don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. And I really appreciate all of those who listen to these episodes. It makes me feel seen, it makes me feel heard, and it makes me really excited just to continue doing this and stay consistent and just kind of see where we go. So, today's episode is solo, it's just me, and I wanted to talk about being multi-passionate and how I actually make it work, because I meet people all the time and they're like, "What do you do?" And I'm like, "How much time do you have?" Because I do a lot of things. I wear a lot of hats, and I know that it's not foreign as an entrepreneur to do multiple things. But I want to talk about all of those hats that I wear and then how I actually make it work and kind of where I came from in order to get here. Because I was not always this way. I was very much, you go to school, you get a job, you do your thing. And how did I break out of that matrix? That's what we want to call it. So, what do I do? What occupies my time? And I like framing it that way because everything that occupies my time is something that I love. It aligns with my values in one way or another. When I say, I do this for work, it doesn't feel like work. Yes, it feels like effort, but it doesn't feel like work in the way that I think many people feel when they go to their job, when they wake up and they show up to a job that maybe they're not happy doing. It doesn't feel like that for me. So I'm a yoga teacher. I am a health and mindset coach. I am a marketer. I'm an event girl. I'm a content creator and I'm a self-proclaimed chef. I got to add that in there. And for a while, I wondered if I had to choose just one thing. And today I'm going to share why I didn't and how I've built a life around all of these things. And I really want to preface that this is what works for me. This might not work for everyone. This could be the most ADHD brain that my optimistic self has gone and been like, and this is how we make it work. If it is that, I love it and I'm going to keep doing it. So let's go back to the structure and security that I used to have. Back in before 2020, flashbacks. Oh my God, what happened? We all know what happened in 2020. I worked a sales job. I worked in this role for about 4.5 years, maybe close to 5. And it was in the wellness space. It was in fitness. I sold gym memberships in the gym. Before that, I went to school for nutrition and I thought there was something inside that thought I was going to be a personal trainer at some point. And as I moved out of school, I started reaching outside of myself for advice, which I think is a normal thing to do when you don't know yourself. It's normal to look at what people are doing around you and they kind of create the path for you. And my one manager at the gym I was working at, she was like, "Why don't you do sales? You would be so good at sales. You're so charismatic when people come in. You're so happy and smiley." And which really was me kind of just putting on this face because I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know who I am. But she said that and she's like, "You'll make a lot of money." And I was like, "Ooh, money. People say that making money means you're successful." And there's a bunch of personal trainers here who all they do is complain about how hard it is to make money and how they're here all day and they're exhausted. And, I look at the two different things and I'm like, money sounds better. So I chose that way. I went that way and I actually did quite well in the sales role. I ended up being some of the top in the company, got sent away for trips, and they really did take care of us as employees. I have no regrets from that part of my life. It truly shaped me in ways that I probably still don't even realize, but it really did help me find more confidence in myself and communicating with people and learning how to explore the workings of their mind because I was selling fitness, I was selling wellness. And if I come back to what I do now, everything I do, it's aligned with what I value in my life. And I knew back then that I valued those things. And so my role as a salesperson, it was really great in the way that I felt like I was coaching without really coaching. I felt like when people came in and they were like, "Yeah, I would love to join your gym." And then they would say, "No, I'm not going to." I was able to explore human behavior in a way that you wouldn't think you'd be doing in a sales role. So I would sit with them and I'd ask questions. I'd get curious. I'd be like, "Okay, so how long have you been wanting this change in your life? And why not today? Like, why do you say you have to go home one more day and sit in your rocking chair and think about it?" Or I'd get to the emotional side and I'd try to understand, how do you think you'll feel if in 3 years from now, or even less, even a year from now, you don't make that uncomfortable step to join the gym and hire a trainer and get someone to help you transform your life? So the conversations I was having with people, they were deep. Like they felt pretty deep to the level of depth that you can get when you work for a corporation. And what felt misaligned for me and what kind of took me out of it, out of my what I once thought was forever, was when 2020 hit and suddenly gyms were shut down and these silly rules started coming into play of, you've got to wear a mask when you walk in. But then once you're on a machine, you can take it down. And these were things that I was just like, this is dumb. Like, this literally makes no sense. And I understand it wasn't the corporation who was putting these in place. There was higher ups, government, et cetera, that I'm not even going to get into today. But yeah, that's where I started questioning. I was like, I don't like being in a place where there's all these rules. And it's not that it was the gym, but that was the container of where I had spent so much of my time. And for the first time, I had, all the time in the world to be able to figure out, okay, what can I build instead that's still aligned? So leaving, what, parting ways with that looked like was me being forced, laid off, being forced to sit at home in my thoughts and like really consider what it is that I like and like who I am. I was in a relationship at the time. I realized, oh God, I don't even like this person. And so it was a lot of like cutting cords with who I thought I was. And I pay so much of that to the pandemic. I know the pandemic was negative in a lot of ways for people, but there were a lot of positives that I think came out of it for me anyways. And it was the space that it gave me. It was the space to actually sit with myself, get out of the routine of, wake up, go to the gym, work at the gym all day, come home, watch TV, wake up, do it again, Groundhog Day, over and over. So it broke the pattern. That's what it did. And it took stepping into discomfort. I mean, the layoffs and the whole shutdown of the world was already very uncomfortable. But when they started opening things up again and they're like, yeah, let's get back to normal, I was like, I don't like normal. I don't like what this normal was, because now I've been able to be at home and have some freedom and have some time with myself. And, that was uncomfortable, but I think I'd rather find a little bit more discomfort than go back to this like normal, mundane rinse and repeat thing every single day. So what I did back then was I found a job online because that's when everything went remote. I was working for a coach. I wasn't a coach yet. but I was working for a coach and I got to see how she operated her business and how she made multiple figures. I think she hit 1 million as we were working together, which was really cool to see and like be around. And that helped me shape and see that the world is truly our oyster. Like we can do anything. We can do literally anything. Like who are we or who am I to say that I can't? Literally, it's a limiting belief. So I worked for her for a year. And then after that, I was like, okay, I feel like I have enough knowledge in one, wellness, fitness, talking to people about their mind, and two, how an online business operates that I can put these two together and do my own thing. And so, what do I actually do now? Because that was kind of phase one of stepping into it. And that's not really what I wanted to talk about today. But, anyways, here we are. Started online coaching. I started mindset coaching. And through that, I was able to see that I don't love just being behind a screen all the time. I actually really do love human connection. And I think it's important. I know it's important. More than hundreds of studies that show that humans are so freaking lonely already, even when we see each other every day. Like we need true connection. We need depth of connection. So that's what got me into events. I tried the online thing by myself for a little bit and I was like, no, I need connection. So I started running free meditations out of a cafe downtown in my city. And I realized that like it wasn't just me who needed it, but the people needed it too. We had a world that was shut down for so long, for too long. And I think as a society that lives in extremes, we were missing that. And so I started doing events. I did it just under my name. Later on, I came up with the name Humankind because something about humans, I probably use that word more in my vocabulary than I'd like to admit. But something about humans, I am fascinated by how we work and how we operate and just bringing one another together. It felt like, all of you hear mankind, but I'm like, I don't want just men. I want humankind. I want all of us to come together and connect. And the core values in those events are connection, community, and collaboration. So that's how that kind of realm of my life came to be. And then we have the health coaching and the yoga, which are, again, these are all tied together, but the yoga was what I would do, the vehicle to how I put events on. So I do yoga. I'm a yoga teacher. I started teaching before I was actually a yoga teacher because I was like, okay, there needs to be something that people are coming to the event for. And so I put on events and I remember calling one of them, it was mobility, mindfulness, and matcha. So I was like, hey, we got 3 M's. We're going to do mobility, AKA I'm going to try to teach people yoga, even though I had never done it before. And people loved it. People absolutely loved it. And I knew deep in my being that I wanted to become a yoga teacher. The timing just wasn't right yet. And through doing events, I remember doing them for an entire summer. I did one per week, which was extreme. But I did that and I was able to see, wow, one, I love events. I love human connection. I love doing that. Two, if I'm going to keep teaching yoga, I need to become a certified teacher. So after that summer, I went and I took my yoga teacher training, came back, and now I teach in studio, but I also run more events through Humankind, which if you're local to Calgary and you listen to this, come to an event. I would love to have you there. I would love to meet you. Even if we've met, come out again and just connect with a bunch of other really cool humans. I'll plug below like how you can sign up and find those events. But what else do I do? So those three, I would say they're the most correlated with each other. Like they all kind of mix into one another. Health coaching, I offer just online. I meet a lot of my clients through events and through teaching yoga. You come to me and tell me that you need help with your fitness, with your nutrition. We do that all in my app, which was developed over time. Like I really want to make sure that this doesn't sound like this all just like came together at one moment. These have all been developed over the last 4+ years. So they all tie in. Anyways, outside of the main wellness practices that I do, I am a marketer and a content creator. And it's funny, I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs and they're like, when they're first starting, they're like, I have to make so much content. Oh my God, what is this? Like, my one friend is a DJ. He's like, I just want to DJ. I'm like, yeah, unfortunately, like if you're trying to build yourself as a personal brand, you also have to become a content creator because that's how we get our name out there to larger reach. Unless you fully want to go like just one to one, person to person, human to human, which I'm sure is a way to build a brand, it's good to try to cover all bases. And the content creation, it stemmed from just finding my creative roots years ago when I was traveling down the Pacific coast. I loved making little videos, and my entrepreneur blood was like, let me try to make money from this. So I started going into businesses, and I love just looking back at this memory. I had my little like hippie scarf around my head. I looked like a total traveling hippie. And I walked into cafes and I was like, hi, my name's Kelsey. I'm a traveling content creator. I hadn't done that ever before, but a lot of what we do, it comes to fruition through confidence and through language. So I said that and I was like, can I make a video for you? And if you like it, pay me whatever you think it's worth. I ended up having clients paying me $200 for a 30-second video because they actually saw the value in it. And so that came to be through one, just throwing myself into it, and two, having the passion of being creative in a digital way. So that's where that came from. I've worked with people in the past doing marketing, doing content creation. A lot of what I do now is my own content creation, but I'm very open to collaborative stuff or signing on clients or UGC, like user generated content. So that's another kind of portion of my life. And then the last one, which I have to throw in there, it's being a chef. Went to school for nutrition, but that doesn't mean I went to school to be a chef. But I absolutely love to cook. I love to bring creativity into the kitchen in the way that I make delicious foods, but they're healthy. Like all of the ingredients are completely whole. This doesn't mean that I don't eat non-whole foods, but that's just something inside of me that I really love to do. And I love to feed it to people, shock them when they find out that there's like no refined sugars or sweeteners or anything in it. So those are all of the things that I do. And again, at first I was like, I need to choose one. But at this stage now, after doing this for multiple years, I don't, because the common thread in everything that I do is I feel like I'm serving and I feel like I'm helping. And I think that in itself, like if I really reflect, that's what keeps me showing up is when I serve the world in whether that's teaching yoga, putting on an event to connect people, coaching someone one on one to like really transform their relationship with their body or their food, creating a funny video or maybe something more serious like storytelling a little bit, feeding people, all of these, it's pouring back into myself because it makes me feel so good to see that on the outside. And again, like you heard where I started, it wasn't just an overnight thing. There was a huge mindset shift that I had to have in order to build this kind of life for myself. Because, I can say to any of you, just go do it. Just go do it. Oh, you don't use Google Calendar? Download it. But I don't think it's that easy. And I know it's not that easy because it wasn't for me. So the limiting beliefs, I wrote them down that I feel like I really had to let go of was the one, who do you think you are to do all of this? That was one of the biggest ones. I think especially in social media's age, we compare to where other people are. We don't know how long it took them to get there. It could have been 7 years, 10 years, 30 years. We don't know. But we compare and we're like, well, who am I? Even though we don't even try. So we limit ourselves without even trying. And the other one was you need a traditional career path. That one, I don't even know where that came from because my parents are both entrepreneurs. So I had this limiting belief that was like, if I don't follow a traditional path, if I don't have a 9 to 5, I'm not successful. I'm not going to be stable. And I mean, the other one from that was like, you need stability to be respected. Just because you have a traditional career path that doesn't equal stability, you can make $10,000 a month. And if you're spending 11, you're not stable. And at the same time, you can be an entrepreneur who often, we don't make as much money as everyone on the internet makes it seem like. We will and we can, but it takes a lot more time to get there. You can make $4,000, $5,000 a month. But if you're only spending 3K, like you're probably doing a lot better than these people with these stable careers? So those were some of the limiting beliefs. And then a big one too that I know a lot of coaches struggle with is that I'm not certified enough. Like I'm not ready enough. I'm not enough of an expert to be able to give my services to people. And that is also called imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is essentially the belief that you don't know enough for what you're giving to people, that you're not, you know, educated enough to be able to do these things. And that one, how I let go of it was by seeing that there's people who are students for life. They go to school forever because they never feel like they're smart enough. So they continue to educate, educate, educate. Like there's doctors, lawyers out there who will just like continue. And then there's people who never went to school and they are serving at the highest capacity because they have the confidence and the sense of self to be able to show up. A lot of those mindsets, even just like writing them down, looking at them, I'm like, it's cool to see that I'm not there anymore and where I've been able to change and shift my life. And I want to tell you like how exactly I make it work because again, maybe it is the undiagnosed ADHD brain, but I would say my life is pretty structured. Like in my days, if I look at my Google Calendar in front of me, let's start with workouts. My workouts are scheduled, same time every day, 3 days a week is what I'm doing right now. It's like a doctor's appointment. I show up, I have to. No one's telling me to go to that. And then I have my yoga classes that I'm in studios. So I have those at the same time throughout the week. So start to like picture this, plugging these in color. So gym sessions, those are in purple. Anything work related is in orange. In between is where I structure in tasks. So I'll put in tasks and I know based on when events are happening, I need to do marketing. I need to run a campaign. I've got to put emails in place. I've got to set up the Eventbrite page. Those are all plugged in certain task areas. So we have tasks that happen every day. And then walking, taking a break, going on my daily walks. Those are literally plugged into my calendar. Eating, lunchtime, breakfast, dinner, those are all plugged in. One thing I would say that I struggle with is not always feeling, and this is where feelings come into play, not always feeling creative. Because a lot of what I do, it takes creativity. It takes sitting down and having nothing in front of me and turning it into something. If I'm not feeling creative, I don't force it. I know what makes me feel creative, and that's going out to somewhere new that I haven't been, whether that's going on a walk in nature, going to a different bookstore downtown or a different cafe or something. That is how I spark the creativity. I will never force it. And sometimes that looks like a random Tuesday where I do nothing because the other side of my brain, which is the logic and the reason, is like, Kelsey, you have this scheduled and you told yourself you would do this right now. And then I sit and I try to do it, try to do it, try to do it, and nothing gets done. So I make it work in the way that works for me. Sometimes I try to force it and it doesn't work. So I think a huge lesson of being able to keep this all organized is tuning into how I feel while also honoring the commitments that I've made to myself. So multi-passionate, I wouldn't say it means scattered. I would say it means things are more integrated and very much time blocked. So I want to wrap this up the fact that I've been chatting for almost 30 minutes about it. If you're someone who feels the same, if you're like, I love everything, I love it all, you're my person. You're just like me, because same. But I want you to ask yourself some questions because you might not have taken any action yet. You might be like, but I like this and I like that. One question that I would start with is, what do I love helping people with? Start there. What do you love helping people with? Because if you're going to feel fulfillment from what you do, I do believe it has to come from a place of service. It's not about what can I get, but what can I give? What do people come to you for? Like if you look at that already in your life, if you don't really have, your side hustle or anything yet, what are people normally coming to you for? Are they like, you make the best food ever? You are so good at drawing. You're so good at painting. You're good at putting clothes together. Oh my God, you're so organized. Like, what is it? What do people come to you for? And then the final one is, what gives me energy and what drains it? Quite often, we're spending a lot of our time in things that drain our energy. And so when we're in our own space, we're so exhausted that we distract, numb out, eat when we shouldn't be eating, do things that aren't getting us anywhere. They're not moving us forward because we're spending a lot of that precious time. Time is so precious on things that are draining us. So really reflect back, like what gives you energy and how can you spend more time there? And some actionable items, I guess, is like, don't quit your job tomorrow. I would not advise that to anyone. I definitely took an extreme approach into working for myself. And in that whole journey, I did end up getting a serving job at one point because it's not realistic to just like fully send it. Maybe for some, but I would say for most people listening, please don't do that. Start with baby steps, bite-sized pieces. How can you integrate slowly? And start integrating them now. Start doing that right now. Pick one item to start with. One offer, one service, one space to start in. If you're like, I want to do events, okay, start with events. Start with just that. Don't start coaching at the same time and teaching classes and chefing and whatever for people. Start with one thing because the rest you'll be able to integrate. And don't try to find your purpose. I think that that's a big one for people is like, what is my purpose? Like, you can build your purpose through taking action. I don't think it's something that's outside of you that you need to find. I think your purpose is already within you because you simply exist, and you will feel more purposeful by taking action towards the things that you know make you feel good and are aligned with your values. So we're going to wrap it there. I want to invite you to reach out to me if you can relate to anything that I said. If you're multi-passionate and you're feeling overwhelmed, you're like, what do I do with all of this? Let's talk. I want to talk about it. I would love to coach you and guide you and advise you in whatever way I can. I also want to say if you're in a 9 to 5 and you're like dreaming of way more, I have been there and I get it. And it's sucky and you can feel really stuck. So let's talk. And what's coming up for the future? Our next Humankind event is on January 17th. It is called Pause for a Cause with the Calgary Humane Society. This event is in support of mental health awareness, and we are raising funds for the Calgary Humane. Our goal is $5,000. So if you are able to get a ticket, get that now while they still are available. If you can't get a ticket, please donate. I'm going to link how to get there and everything below. But I would love if you came to the event. And other ways, if you want to work with me, coaching, I am taking on one more one-on-one client this year. We'll have more space next year. But if you would like to work with me, you can apply below. I have my one-on-one coaching form. And that's it. We'll leave it there. Thank you so much for listening and being a part of this community. It means the world to me. I didn't even talk about the fact that I do a podcast. That's another one of my passions. But you obviously know that. I will see you all again very, very soon. Thank you. Thank you. Peace.